Today's episode is sponsored by newspapers.com, your go-to resource for unlocking the stories of your ancestors. Dive into the newspapers where your family's history unfolds as you search nearly 1 billion pages in seconds. Newspapers.com offers an unparalleled treasure trove of historical newspapers, providing a window into the past. With papers from the 17th century to today, newspapers.com is the largest online newspaper archive. Use promo code Genealogy Adventures for a 20% discount on your subscription. That's Genealogy Adventures at newspapers.com. Sign up today at newspapers.com and embark on a journey of discovery.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Genealogy Adventures. I'm Brian Sheffy.
And I'm Donya Williams. Hi, everybody. We've been gone.
But we're back.
And it's just for, even though it's just for this day, we couldn't close out Women's History Month without doing this. I want to thank everybody. We want to apologize for not being able to go throughout Women's History Month with you guys. Basically, it was my fault. Well, not necessarily my fault, but my mom got sick and I had to take care of her. And I do thank you guys for all of the prayers that you guys sent out. And I just want to, just really kind of just thank all of you for everything that you've said, everything that you've done, all of the words, all of the kind words, and just everything. So thank you so much for just being there and showing up for us to, just doing that. That was wonderful.
So hopefully, we all hope that you guys are having a wonderful holiday weekend. That has been wonderful and time to spend with family and friends. And as always, thank you for spending the next 60 minutes with us, however you tune in, wherever you are. And we've got quite the show for you.
Yes, we do. We do. And you know what? This lady, she doesn't need an introduction, does she?
She really doesn't.
No, she really doesn't. She doesn't. Everybody knows her. We don't have to say anything except for her name, Dr. Shelley Murphy.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome, GA. Welcome, GA. And I'm so glad to hear Mama's doing better.
She is. She's out the hospital. She actually had to come and stay with me for a little while, which
Awesome.
I have probably one of the best jobs in the world. And they allowed me to work from home and take care of my mom.
Awesome.
So it was really good for me to be able to do that because I am her medical proxy. Mm-hmm. So I have to make sure everything is working properly for her. And they really allowed that. And I love that about my job.
We got to appreciate our mamas and family. Yes.
That's my rock. I don't know what I would do without her. She promised me to be here 100 years, so I'm holding her to it.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Well, your mama doesn't say things lightly. So
no, we're not. If I could tell y'all the embarrassing things,
I'm gonna have conversation with you after the show.
Oh, after the show, I gotta tell y'all what she said. Oh my God! Like,
this is why we value our women. This is why.
This is why.
Yes.
This is why.
Yes.
So today's show, guys, is about talking about some unknown women in history. And we are talking with Shelley because Shelley is so knowledgeable about different people, different things. And I know that she can wrap in unknown women in history along with genealogy like no other. So Shelley, as you and I discussed, and I already talked it over with Brian, we are allowing you to be the person to do your set first of who you want to talk about, and then Brian and I will talk about who we want to talk about. So would you like for me to show this slide now, or you tell me when
You
to
can
go? And
show the first slide. Yes.
all righty.
And there we go. Unknown women in history. So some of the points I want to get across that we all know everybody has a woman in their community. There's a women in every state and in the world. We know them. They're not famous and they're not in the public eye. They've sacrificed just as much as the known women that we celebrate on a regular basis throughout history. They do not have to be known as the first of anything, only known to those who are around her and may be honored only in the month of May each year here in the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate who is around you as well as those who came before you, because you know what? You are the unknown women in history. So, you can go to the next slide. Think about all the women, like I said, who came before you. They make you up. Some were born free, some were born enslaved, some were runaways, stowaways, spies, maids, cooks, everything you can think of. There's been a woman attached to it. You also have to think about those that had to endure the violence throughout the history, at least of this country, the rape, the beatings, the loss of their children and their family. I'm asking you to share what you know, pass the story down, and include their experiences as well as yours. And please, for those that came before us, you need to call out their names once in a while. We do this research and get immersed in it, but we're not thinking about who's already around us. And I want to shout out to all of my genealogy buddies because they are also the women that are unknown to history. Next slide. So let me tell you about one. Her name is Verna May. Came from the country, rural country. Lost her father at age 11. She had 4 other siblings. She got married at 16 to a city slicker. She had 5 children by the time she's 25. Never was able to finish high school. The husband was an alcoholic. He was extremely jealous, even jealous of his own kids and grandkids. And she did find some strength at one time to leave him for a couple years, but they were married for 50 years. This woman lost 2 sons within a 2-year period. Even though she was uneducated, she also raised 2 of those children that became doctors. So again, despite the hurdles and things that she went through, she needs to be appreciated and also known in history. Number 1, survivor, the resilience that she showed. Because by this husband being alcoholic, you got to think of also not the physical abuse, but the mental abuse. So her interest in family history and ancestors not only speak to the reverence for the past, but also her desire to connect her children with her ancestry and instill in them a sense of belonging. And the identity of that is absolutely priceless. She's known in her family as the family historian and now is the matriarch of her family at the age of 93, soon to be 94. And you can see these pictures of her up there in the left with her little brother. You can see her with her husband sitting right next to him on the beach there. Her and her first cousin. And look at her. 1, 2, 3, 4th on the picture. With the other folks celebrating at I think it was American Legion function. So next slide. Even before her became her mother, Irene, unknown to history, born in 1904, passed in 1990. She got married and broke the color line in I'm going to say an all white line all the way back to 1300 and something in England. in 1927 when she married her husband. But her husband died in 1942 and left her with 5 children. She cleaned white people's houses as a profession, a domestic, and she was a faithful Christian. Again, not known in history. And then her mother is Clara holding her hand, right? Clara's born 1874 and died in 1959. She had become a teacher, and she married her dead sister's husband and helped raise her nephew as her own, along with her 5 children. She read tea leaves and drank green tea only. And then in the last picture with a granddaughter is Mary Catherine. She's born in 1840, born free in Virginia. She was known for her pies. She won several ribbons at the county fairs, had 12 children, 11 of them that lived. So honor those that came before you. Next slide. So, how many women do you have in your life that people do not know about? Who's around you? A woman's journey is characterized by the silent sacrifices and the quiet strength that belies the immense burden she bears. Y'all know who I'm talking about. It's all of the women that are around you. It could be aunties, grandmamas, your mama, your cousins, your sisters. Does not know of her own power and how impactful she really is. And like her, she's the backbone of most families, but may not recognize that she has that strength and that impact. So through her legacy and through perhaps quiet and uncelebrated in a larger world context, she indelibly marked in the hearts and lives of her children and those who know her story. So tell about your Verna, Irene, Clara, and Mary. Begin looking at your own family and within your own local community. Next slide.
It's only 5.
That's it. That means the last. Come on, Danya. We're done. And let me tell you about Danya Williams, the woman in history. Are you not the co-host of a show?
Yes.
Did you not write a book?
Yes.
Did you not write newspaper articles?
Yes. So I just want to make sure that we are clear that it's the women that are around us that are unknown to history. And we don't have to be the first of this or the first of that. And so for those of you that are researching, honor those women and tell their stories. And I'll repeat that again, do justice within your own family and then go out. We love the history. I'm not knocking the history. But the fact that you got history all around you and you're making it every day. So appreciate you, Danya, and your mama and who done came before you as well. So I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Well, I'm thinking about what Shelley just said, and thinking about how I grew up. Because
Yes.
again, both my mother's family and my father's family, we lived in the kitchen. It was always around the kitchen table. So where did I start hearing those really early family stories? I was hearing it from the women, from my mother and her sisters and great aunts and grandmothers and great grandmothers. That's where I started hearing stories from. So I'd celebrate the women in my family for just being amazing storytellers that I can remember hearing stories from when I was 5.
Yes.
I'm 60. So we're talking 55 years, and I still remember those stories as vividly today as I first heard them. Also think about, and that's not discounting the men. I mean, I've got great fishing stories and hunting stories and work stories and all that kind of stuff. And when it came to family history, it was the women. Also, it was the women in my family who really created that family culture. So when it comes to, I really laugh. My mother is both North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina, but it's that Edgefield culture that the women brought with them to DC that really seeped into the family. How we cook, the words that we use, all of those really kind of distinctive Edgefieldian kind of culture things, the women brought that to DC. I think more than the men. And I really appreciate, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that they were patient enough to teach me how to cook. Um, so they get full props on that too.
Yeah, because
Amen.
Brian can cook, y'all. In case y'all did not know, I
Brian can
mean,
cook.
yes, he can cook. Yes, yes, I've tasted his food. Yes,
So
yes,
I'm expecting dinner
get
at
him,
some time.
get him,
even
get
those
him,
things, even
y'all.
those things that TikTok
Shush.
videos don't show you,
Yeah.
like washing your meat and prepping your meat before you
Yes. Yes.
even start doing anything.
Yes.
And not
Absolutely.
licking the spoon. I don't know if that was a universal kind of Black culture thing, but I know that specifically within my Edgefieldian side of the family, Lord help you if you lick the spoon while you were cooking.
You better not.
So it's just those little things that we kind of take for granted. I would invite people to really think about the family stories, who told them, family cultures, cooking,
Mhm.
all those kind of preference type things. Think about where you picked those up from. And I bet you probably 8 times out of 10, it was picked up from a female relative.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then you talking about licking the spoon and everything. Then no, you can't do it while you cooking. But man, when it's over, when that cake is baked, when the stuff is over, and you get that
The
bowl and lick.
smells. The smell.
Oh my goodness gracious! That's why I'm fat today, people. That's why I'm fat today. But I'm trying. I'm trying to tell you that you go and you get that cake batter or that little bit of cookie dough, and yes, it is just amazing. And then, I mean, I must admit, even though we are talking about women, my daddy taught me how to make my sweet potato pies, and they are the best pies in the world. I don't care what nobody say, but it was Juanita that taught me how to make apple pies. So, and it was my cousin Patsy that taught me how to make my custard. So now I'm ready to move into lemon pies, lemon custard pies. And, it's just different things like that. And it's everybody in the family. I mean, I appreciate so much. One of my aunts, my Aunt Evelyn, she taught me how to cook chicken. Nobody cooks chicken like my Aunt Evelyn, except for my son Demetrius. And he actually told me that I taught him how to do it. I must have taught him how to cook my Aunt Evelyn's chicken, because he cooks chicken like my Aunt Evelyn.
And that story's going to get handed down. Who taught him how to do that?
So
Look
it's just
at that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me, because my chicken don't taste like his. It just don't taste like his chicken. Tastes like Aunt Evelyn's chicken.
Yeah.
Mine don't taste like Aunt Evelyn's chicken, but his do. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but
My
yeah,
whole family, everything revolved around food. So that's all the gatherings, everything was about food, everything was about folks cooking. And so when I write about ancestors in my genealogy now, I'm going to include something about food, because even today, with just 3 of us in the house I'm in, everything, the discussions and everything still has to do about food. But that's what got handed down in that kitchen or that family room, and we all hanging out, all of who's bringing what and when. Family used to go out, and again, all the women led the way. We used to have family gatherings at least once a month. This is up in Michigan, where all your cousins and everything, it was like a reunion, but everybody went to the park. But everybody had certain foods they were also known to bring. And
yes.
so again,
Oh,
all of that.
macaroni and cheese was is Juanita. To this day, my mama got to make the macaroni and cheese.
I love it. I
So,
love
Mm.
it.
but what you did not do was tell us who those women were that you were honoring on the.
Verna May is actually Verna May Warden Murphy, my mother. Her mother is Irene Arlington Davis Warden. Her mother is Clara Naomi Marsh Davis. And then the last picture was Mary Catherine Goins, and that went right up my female line to my second great grandmother, Mary Catherine Goins. That's where my Goins lines come in.
So
And
that's
those
five
are the ones we
generations.
have pictures of. She's my second great grandmother.
So that's how many generations? That's three, four,
Well, if
three.
I'm first generation, my mom, grandmother, great, and second great, that's 4 generations. The fifth
Four.
generation is Sarah Hart. Sarah Hart Goins, but we don't have a photograph of her.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, she died in 1886, but was born in 1810.
Okay.
So
So
again, thinking of the women who's around you, and I have to give kudos to all my genealogy buddies. The women, they're there. They're the support. They tell me when I'm wrong. They tell me when I'm right. Danya, we done had conversations. We don't always agree on everything. But again, we're making history because we're writing history and we're telling history and we're sharing history in all different forms.
it never was
Exactly.
that a more important time to do that than now in the
Yes.
last couple of years.
Yes.
And I really
Yeah.
enjoy the framing of it because, again, when people think about history, they think about the huge overarching stories, which most of especially um, our African American ancestors, wouldn't get a peek into that. But celebrate, and I like celebrating the intangible things or the things that aren't readily available. Give a quick example: my dad's mother. Um, love my granny Susie, but bless her heart, she really had bad taste in men. Two marriages, two marriages,
We
and that
sometimes go through that, Brian. I'm going to apologize right now and
Don't
keep
tell that
moving.
lady business like that. Just telling that lady business.
Tell
I
my
don't care.
business. That's the story.
It's on my family tree. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But two marriages, kids by
I
both
got one
husbands.
before.
But I've said that to say this was will always have the utmost respect for my granny because she raised 4 boys in New Jersey who went out and served their country, and then all of them became homeowners. Every last one of them. Um, so
That's
much so that
wonderful.
towards the end of her life, basically paid for her apartment so that she could retire early and just have a comfortable life because she had sacrificed so much to raise them up to do the best job that she could
Yeah.
in terms of adulting to get her children to become adults. That's how they paid her back. They're like, Mom, put your feet up. You worked in the hospital laundries, you worked as a cook, you scrubbed people's houses.
Yeah.
I
Now
need
it's
my
time.
kids to hear this. The head.
So
Tell
I'm
me
saying that
to my
because
feet up.
Granny sucked it up and she did what she had to do
Yeah.
to put food on the table, clothes on her kids' backs, make sure that they went to school and did their homework, and turn them into men.
and
That's
and
awesome.
that's a tribute to her, and you just told that story. And as far as your siblings, your cousins, everyone that attaches to that, do they know that about her?
Yeah, they do. We all know.
And so to get that point at, we're always digging in the history doing genealogy. So Brian, number one, Tanya, number two, what was the biggest surprise about one of your women ancestors that you found in your research? And you got to go back further than Granny. What is some of the surprises or the shocks that you found? Something that you didn't know or never heard about. Whoever wants to go first. I see Danya's thinking.
I'm think
I
I'm
am.
thinking
I'm thinking.
I'm
Well, and
thinking
I
too.
raised that up for a point, especially for the audience. And again, and I want to bring the point that our history is all around us and it's not always the past. You guys, as you know, right now, GA making history. I
Mhm.
saw when you posted you hit 100,000. I mean, that's history. And did you pat yourselves on the back? Did you tell us all about it? You posted it, but
No,
again, it's history. And this is what we're striving to do as we conduct this genealogy research. So I'm trying to give y'all time to come up with that.
Well,
I mean,
I
I
do.
think
I have one. I have one.
Okay, go, Brian.
I was because this is Easter weekend and Easter Sunday. I wanted to keep it upbeat. I found loads of unpleasant things, but it's one pleasant surprise was Jane White, who was a freed woman, who, along with her husband Daniel Henry Shepley and Whitville, Southwest Virginia, helped put out the fires started by the Union Army. So
Ooh.
they saved downtown Whitville from burning down to the ground because they were running around putting out the fires that the Union Army was setting.
Wow. Love that one.
I guess for me, I think Brian kind of put it in perspective for me and I know, I mean, it's actually two women, and that's Lula Peterson and Martha Brooks, and those are my two, my great grandmother and my second great grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Second great grandmother on my grandfather's side, my mother's father's side, and great grandmother on my mother's mother's side.
Mm-hmm.
Those two women were so powerful as far as my research was concerned. They guided me my first 10 years. Like they pointed me in directions like no other. They let me know that I do have a gift of being able to be in contact with ancestors and things of that nature. Some may think of that as being crazy or whatever. I got a crazy side. I know it. I accept it. And it's not a problem. But
I salute that.
yeah, it's nothing I can do about it. I know it. But the thing is that it's because of these women, had Martha not pointed me in the direction of Preston Brooks, I would have never known. I would have never known that I'm actually a descendant of Preston Brooks. It was because of her. This man was in the middle of the mix. There was people that owned her before, and there were people that owned her after. But she wanted me to focus on the one in the middle. I kept having to go to that, and it was because of her that happened. And then when Lula got tired of me working on Martha, Lula would turn everything to Peterson. She turned everything turned Peterson all of a sudden. So these two women were very strong in my research, and they put a lot. They made sure that I was going to find out who they were, and in the process find out who I was. So I know where my strength comes from. I know where my mouth comes from. It's Peterson. I'm a Peterson through and through. Not really. Yeah, I'm a Peterson through and through. I will fight you quick as a flash.
Well, I gotta find whoever is guiding me, because they're guiding me, and I'm all mixed up over here because I've got that fight you in a minute too, and I don't know.
That's my Peterson line. They were fighters, but we are getting like 30 minutes in, and I want to get to our person.
Yes, go.
But what were you going to say real quick, Brian?
Real quick, two things. Well, you've got a double dose because you can't forget you've got that Brooks blood flowing through your veins too. So that's a volatile as Peterson. One person who did surprise me in the course of just general research was a woman in Edgefield. She was a large-scale enslaver. Her name was I'm going to get her married names wrong in the wrong order because she was like the Black Widow of Edgefield. Charlotte Richardson Peterson Struther Minter. I had never come across a woman at that point in my years of research who had enslaved that many people and whose business savvy was unquestioned. Unquestioned.
Unquestioned. Only woman that I ever saw that even at the end of slavery, she was still selling enslaved people at thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Ooh. After slavery had ended, she was still selling them.
4 figures. And they were buying them. And we don't know why or how, but it was just amazing. But let's get to
your women.
Okay. So in order for me to introduce this woman, I'm going to start by this video. Okay? All right.
Proud son of Dr. Shelley Viola Murphy, and you have absolutely chosen the right person to honor for Women's History Month. She's an inspiration, gives of herself to help others, and always has, regardless of her own situation, whether it's a place to stay, support, guidance, groceries, or connecting people with their families. It's said you never know who's watching. while I was watching. Congratulations, Ma. You deserve it and so much more.
Educator, author, advocate, genealogist, researcher. Your boundless spirit and unstoppable drive is truly inspiring. Thank you for your unwavering commitment not only to our family, but to history and justice. You are more than deserving to be honored for Women's History Month. Dr. Shelley Viola Murphy, Mom.
You done went to Japan and Italy or Tallahassee? I thought you were going to talk to Jay about some work.
Don't worry about what I'm going to talk to Jay about. Just understand and know.
You got me tearing up.
Because you are a woman in history, lady.
And we couldn't do the show without marking that. Because you think about all the untold stories that you found over your decades of research that you've shared and spoken about and done presentations on. It's phenomenal work.
Y'all got
not just
good.
that. You guys have to understand who she is. Like she, Shelley has founded Maggie. She has.
I'm one of 4 women.
Yes, she's one of 4 women that found Maggie. She has.
Just so people know what that is, that's the Mid-Atlantic African Historical Society.
Right. She is the reason for the descendant enslaved community. She's the reason for that. She also is the reason for the enslaved laborers UVA. I mean, we could go on and on when it comes to Shelley. There's not a moment or a time that I will call Shelley and she will not. And I'll be like, Shelley, I need help. Okay, what do you need? What you trying to do? That whole reparation show was completely and totally set up by Dr. Murphy. I need y'all to know that. From every guest that was up there, it was Dr. Murphy. She was the one that was able to guide me to the direction of who it is that I needed to do, why I needed to do them, directed me to the book that was the lady, the president of Sons and Daughters wrote.
Evelyn McDowell.
Yes, she did all of those things. Dr. Shelley Murphy is the epitome of a woman who is creating history right at this very moment.
And it was
Go ahead.
And it was Dr. Murphy who actually made me re-engage with my goings, free people of color in Virginia research, because I had vowed at one point I would never look at that again.
Yeah,
she was related somewhere down that line up to that plantation up on the mountain. We're connecting somewhere.
Well,
I appreciate it and thank you. My kids, I'm gonna have to tell them thank you. And I
contacted him and I asked him would he do this for me, and he was like, without a doubt, yeah. And I mean,
he should be sleeping right now because they're 14 hours ahead of us, or 13 or whatever.
Yeah, but he knows that this is going on.
Yeah.
he knows. And I just want you to know that you're just everything to genealogy. In my opinion, you brought genealogy to the forefront. And what I mean by that is you because of you, we have certain clientele with GA because of you. Your research for the CNN and Today Show people actually not only showed that Black people can research, but it also showed that we can find ourselves beyond 1870. You showed that on a national level. People could say what they want about Mr. I'm going to say his name. I don't care. Okay. So y'all forget it. Mr. Gates, they can say what they want about him, but he is not showing the proof of what we actually can do when it comes to research. He's not doing that. And I that's just how I feel.
And there's hundreds of us that are doing it.
Exactly.
And I called out my genealogy buddies because without them, I can't do what I do.
But
And
that's the thing, because
yeah,
I've been doing this for nearly 20 years now. And I remember when I first started, and this was when I was all the way back in England, there was only a handful of Black genealogical names that I was actually seeing. It was you, it was Angela Walton Raji, it was Kenyatta Berry,
yeah.
and I think James Morgan. And that was it.
Melvin.
Melvin.
Melvin, yes, I forgot about
Because you
Melvin. I
know,
want to say,
Melvin is my celebrity genealogist. He will forever be that.
And Bernice Bennett as well. And then look at the ones that are, and I'm over 35 years on doing research and stuff. So I'm have already went through, I'm going to say, digging those weeds and so forth 10 years past you or prior to you. But right now is the time. I mean, this is the absolute best time, and I'm going to say as an African American and a female, to do this. And the thing of it is, because so many things are opening up that we can tap into. 20 years ago, we couldn't look at no ship manifest. No,
Mm, that's
no,
right.
with names. We weren't even looking at the Freedmen's Bureau as much as what we're digging in there now. And y'all need to come hang out with us some Friday night. And
Look at
we y'all need to come hang out. And there's Freedmen Bureau Friday folks in your chat room right now.
I know it is.
And we also gonna put that challenge out. Y'all need to come on out and hang, because we know we got to understand those records in order to tell about those records. And talking about women, oh my God, we got women, y'all, going to the Freedmen Bureau field office, getting their babies back, trying to find their husbands. You know, and wait a minute, the war is over. Slavery's supposed to be over, but they trying to get their babies back from former slave owner, still holding on that free labor and claiming they can't take care of them. But it's just unbelievable what women are doing around here. It is so much. And then look at the growth from what you guys started, I'm involved in, and things, people. And I think about Maggie. We tracked that one time several years ago, all the different blogs that started coming out. We did a writing track. People started writing and telling those stories. Some of those things are still going on. And look at the things that we do together and where it can go. I just think now's the best time. The ancestors we're here. Find us, find us. We're here. And now it's time for us to tell those stories. Look what Bernice did with the Black homestead. Ain't nobody thinking about Black folks owning no property and from 1862.
But you know what else she did? That's another person, since we're giving out
Yes,
flowers.
give out the kudos there.
Because I'm going to tell you something. Bernice is one of my mentors. She's
Yeah.
one of the ones that, she was one of my very first people who taught me how to research. She was that one of those first people. And right now she's doing something with the medical history of African Americans, where she's looking at those death records and saying, you need to look at these death records, and then you'll start finding and figuring out why your health is the way that it is because of what was going on back then.
Absolutely.
Every time I talk about that, when I tell y'all I begin to get goosebumps, I get them, and I get them because it's personal to me. It's personal to me because I have an autistic son, and when he was, I'm gonna say, about 2 years old, we thought he was gonna have to have brain surgery, and it scared us to death because I was like, well, what? He's 2, so what's going on? Well, he had something called Chiari malformation. And what a Chiari malformation is when your brain stem, your skull stem and your spine stem is meeting closely, and it's cutting. It can possibly cut off the flow of juices on your brain, and they may have to shave that down, which basically would be brain surgery. Scared me. Thank God he didn't have to get it done. But let's fast forward to 30 plus years later. Guess who else has a Chiari malformation in the family? Me.
You
Has everything to do with
know
my
your history. Yes.
know your history. Has everything to do with my migraine headaches. My baby more than likely has a Chiari malformation because of me.
Yes.
So these things that are going on is crazy. And then Brian and I were discussing, the line of what was going on in Edgefield and things that were happening in Edgefield. And we realized that there were several people that were dying from cerebral hemorrhages in the Edgefield area. And these are our family members. Again, brain issues.
So now you're looking at the community, which is a big thing that Nika Smith and some other, we're pushing the fact that people got to start looking at the community research and not just look at your family. You got to realize also who's around them. You're tracking that medical side. And I'm going to tell you, in Family Tree Maker, you can log in what people died from and get you a report.
Yep, you can. You can.
Yes. And that's how I found the heart disease in our family.
The more what Shelley was saying, in a lot of ways, our family is the community, especially if they were living in a really rural area.
Yes.
You have to. That's something, that's people are like, why do you and Donnie spend so much time researching all the Edgefield? Because we're related to at least
related to all of them.
2/3 of it.
There's a connection.
So, I wanted to quickly give some shout outs to some other female genealogists. And please, I can't remember the names of the co-founders for the Beyond Kin. I know one is Donna Cox Baker.
Yes.
The other is her name
Francine?
Francine, that was
Taylor.
It. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Beyond Kin, it's a way that we can work with entire enslaved communities, so still sticking with this community function, where you attach enslaved people to specific slavery-related records that are attached to a specific ancestor, to a specific enslaver. And then you can start building them out and researching them and trying to find them in the 1870 census, and then actually start doing traditional genealogy work. But that was two women who brainstormed this. And to me, to say that was a game changer, that exploded the genealogy work that I was doing, and talk about the right tool coming at the right time. Beyond Kin, that was it. So absolute kudos to both Francine and Donna for creating that.
And most people don't know, in the old videos of Dr. Gates' show, that's Francine sitting at that microfilm reader.
Oh, that's right.
Now you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I do want to make a comment about Maggie, because some people might not know. And it's Midwest African American Genealogy Institute. But we are hitting year 12. And we are the year 12. This July will be year 12. We started the first 3 years at HBCU in St. Louis at Harris Stowe. And then we went to Allen County Public Library, which is where we've been till COVID. Of course, we go online, but we're going back there this July. But the point was, these 4 women is basically, we know we were not getting what we needed for our research out there, and there wasn't some attention being paid towards that. And so we got together with the folks. There was a Charles Brown that was also with us in the beginning, but there is not another genealogy institute that focuses just on African ancestry. We've got other institutes, and I go to other institutes as well, but you might not have tracks that are focusing on the records. And speaking of Bernice and Nika and them, those are track coordinators and track instructors. I'm going to tell you, hell of a challenge is to get with Bernice and them ship manifests and those runaway ads, because people are running upstairs and downstairs at Allen County Library because you have got to seek out, put some hands on stuff, and do some work. But you will learn and be able to walk away with that to understand. Don't just stop at Civil War. You can go beyond Civil War, because
And
every
see,
answer.
that's
Go
what
ahead.
Maggie does. That's what and that's why we're,
We got Rick
honor you.
Murphy teaching you the colonial times, at least to introduce it. Who else is teaching Black folks about colonial times?
But the thing is that you guys are introducing something to people, to people of color, to everybody that is not being taught, and it should be. These things should be offered in those in those other
The
genealogical.
bigger,
Yeah, they should be offered. But they want to keep the narrative of we can't go beyond 1870. They want to keep that narrative of
we
that.
bust that thing open
And
every
we bust that
Friday
open
night,
every day. We bust that open
daily.
all the time.
Yeah.
But the
And
thing
that's
that frustrates
not
me is that's still being said in major, large-scale
Yes.
genealogical conferences. It was
I just heard it the other
said
day.
in
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah, and it is, and you have major people making that comment.
3.5 million just in the Friedmanville collection. Come on now, with names,
Okay,
locations.
but yet you're gonna say
Former
that they
slaveholders.
weren't written. The names are not written down, or then you can't find them. I mean, stuff like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, why do you do that?
But that's
my,
your
my public tree, and you know the standard to which I work, where records get attached, where resources and whatnot get attached to every single person in that tree, for the most part. I must have about 20,000 names of at least 20,000 enslaved people in my tree.
I love it.
Including people that I'm not even related to, but it's part of that community research that we're talking about. Maybe at some point further back, we may find out that we are related. But that's just to say that, it is possible. I mean, we're talking about, I've been researching Thomas Jefferson's enslaved community. That's
He's
colonial
the
period.
most researched, I believe, white man in history is Thomas Jefferson. Probably more than anybody, it would be him. And I read that somewhere, but you know what I'm saying? And some of that might be contributed to Sally, because it now makes him more controversial, and people don't understand man, woman, sex, babies. That's simple. I mean, that's simple. Who had access to these people? But they ain't the only one up there on that mountain. And we refer to that as black space. There was over 600 people up there. How many white people were on that plantation? That's black space. And I hear Rick Murphy right now. They're never going to give us the credit for and I'm saying as an African Americans, of being founders of this country. But there ain't nothing that happened that somebody was not standing right by there, listening and involved.
What? The way that Brian, let me tell you something. In my book, when we did my book, when we started doing the marketing for my book, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm getting ready to give Brian some kudos right now. Brian does marketing. He went to school for it and everything. I don't know what he did prior to, but when he did the marketing to talk about my great grandmother Martha Brooks, that thing right there caused over 30,000 people to come and go and have a conversation. It caused a huge conversation, one where he actually contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get rid of this one comment because this man is being kind of nasty." I was like, "Oh no, I like nasty. Let's get that done."
Yeah, I was gonna say keep that nasty.
I like nasty. Let's do nasty. I want to do nasty. And it was because of what Brian did. He channeled my 2 times great grandmother.
Yes.
And he pointed out the fact that more than likely she was the cook, and she stood right there while Preston was talking to his daddy Whitfield, talking about how he beat Charles Sumner because he disrespected his uncle, and he had no right talking about his uncle like that, and that's why he did it. And when I tell y'all, Brian said that like Martha was saying it out of his mouth. He even came to me. He was like, "I swear to God, I don't know where that came from, Danya."
It came from Martha.
He jumped inside me and was being,
Yes.
Those words were coming from her.
That's why y'all got to tell these stories.
Yeah. He channeled my
This
great
is our
grandmother.
appeal, to tell these stories.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
we got to understand what they were going through, what they did. And there's things that we are walking and talking about today that has to be linked right back to them.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for. We
But
got
she
to
was
tell
there.
She
The
was
point
there.
is that she was there for everything that Brian wrote up there. I know that she jumped in him because she was there when he talked about beating Charles Sumner. She was there. She overheard the conversation when he went to fight the police because he heard that they had his brother. She heard about them talking about him coming back from the Mexican War because he wanted to fight Wigfall because Wigfall was disrespecting his father. The man was probably one of the most violent people in Edgefield, and she heard and delivered. She knew all of the stories. She knew it all.
And they always assume, and I'll say it this way, people that were enslaved were slow, incompetent, right? Not smart, stupid even. But look, we had people running away. We had people surviving. We had people that endured everything. And I pride myself on this for my family and everybody else's family. Everything you threw at us, we still hear.
Well, again, you just reminded me of Una Judge.
Absolutely. Love her.
Martha Dandridge Custis Washington's maid, personal maid, who
Yes.
left, who ended up going to Maine or New Hampshire, I believe.
Delaware? Maine? Somewhere way up. No, she went way up. Maine.
And the effort that George Washington went through to try and get her, to
But
get her
he
back
knew.
in.
She knew stuff.
Yeah,
He wasn't going to get her. She knew stuff.
She was
They all
Martha's private, personal body attendant. So
Yes, and don't think we weren't listening and learning.
And she knew all the
Amazing. And who was raising all these children?
Say it again.
Black women.
Yeah, yep. Say it again. Say it again.
Black women. And where you think some of them little brats got all their morals and everything, as much as they could, they got them from the women that were taking care of it. Wet nurses. Oh my gosh. Come on.
That's right.
Now.
You are smart. You are important.
Important and beautiful.
You are. You are kind. You are smart. You are
That's
right. You are important.
That is the very theme that was picked up in the movie The Maids. Or The Help.
The Help. That's what I just said.
That's what we were just talking about.
You are kind and you are important. Okay?
And she was telling that to the little white girl. And she asked her mama, and remember she told her before she left, don't let something about the baby, because the white woman was not taking care of her child.
No, she wasn't.
But we've got histories of the women taking care of these children. And that can go back way past them 1860s. We can go back way back with those stories.
Yes, we can.
And what Janice Root said, my ancestors were straight gangsters.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, you looking at one right here. I know. Most definitely.
First of what Donnie was talking to, the reason why people were so upset by what I wrote, well, what was dictated to me, I'm going to put it that way, from Martha, was she was a breeder, and when Martha jumped in and she told me what she wanted me to say on her behalf, she didn't hold any cut cards. That was the first 3 sentences. Miss Martha, why you have so many children? Well, I was a breeder, and it's not like I had much choice in the matter.
Yep.
And
Yep, and she
kudos
was
to
a
Miss
winner.
Martha because she called it out.
She called it out. She ain't, cause that's my two time
This
great grand.
Martha caused some palpitations on that morning when
Yeah.
I hit post on that.
Yes, yeah, that
That's
one there
why it's so
over
important to
30,000.
tell. We
Yes,
gotta tell these stories. We just
yes.
have to. And everybody, and I almost want to say you're obligated to do this.
No, not almost. You are obligated.
You are, but you also gotta hand that down. Don't just
Yes,
write it for your own. You got to tell it and
tell
share
that
it.
story. That's right.
You
With
know.
that for the audience, I don't just allow any extended or immediate family member that's passed to use me that way. I kind of knew immediately that it was Martha, and I've always been interested in Martha. So I'm like,
Right.
yeah, tell me what you want me to say. But I would not do that for just any
Yeah.
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 ancestor.
Well, I just want to thank you again, for being here, for sharing your story of your family, and then thank you for being you.
Oh, thank
And
you.
just, for teaching us and showing us the way and just bringing us into this world of research and inviting us in and telling us what we need to do. So the things that you have to do for me right now, later on, is you have to send me the links to the Friedman stuff and everything so I can put them on the comments, because we had several people asking and saying, I want to join, I want to hang. Renita said,
Actually, Karen K put those things in your chat.
yes, she did put some of the stuff in the chats. So I don't know if that was all of them. So I want you to go back over them
Okay.
and make sure. And if they're not, then we will definitely place them in the chat. I want to let you guys know that we are off in April, and I do need that time off to continue to
Oh,
take.
it's National Fair Housing Month. We need a conversation.
Okay, I gotta take care of my mommy.
All right, watch for my blog because I have an article that I'll be posting up probably tomorrow because April 1st, and it's about fair housing and genealogy.
Okay, well, we will post it on the genealogy adventure.
Okay.
Right.
April is a busy month for us, but I also just wanted to say, Shelley, just thank you for having actually built a profile that I could find online, because I didn't even know that Black people could do genealogy when I started almost 20 years ago. And it was just, even though we didn't communicate at that point, it was just nice for me to know. I didn't feel isolated, and I just felt it was cool to know that there were people out there who had
Yeah.
clearly been doing the work, getting the results, and that just kind of gave me the impetus to carry on.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I'm going to say kudos to Verna May because she's the one that got me started in genealogy. I was helping her. So
All right.
she
Well,
was a family historian. So it's 4:58 your time.
yes, yes. So thank you guys so much. And we will see you in May with a really great lineup. And thank you so much for everything. To watch our replays, you can always go to our YouTube channel or E360 TV. Download the app, watch us on TV. We love it.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.